Hi, I'm Kim Hoffman, and welcome to my new video series, What I Wished I Would Have Known Earlier. Now, this is going to be quick segments, probably 5 to 8 minutes, with tips, ideas, and suggestions that's going to help make your life easier. And if you happen to like any of these tips and tricks, please feel free to share them with any coworkers or friends. And don't forget to sign up on the email list if you want to make sure that you get future broadcasts. But let's get right into it. My first tip is discover the time management system that works best for you. Now, for best for you, I mean for you. Not for your dad, not for your brother, not for your sister, not for your best friend. You need to find the time management system that's going to work best for you. There's lots of systems out there, but I don't think there's just one best system. Just one best system for you. Often that involves borrowing bits and pieces from all different types of programs. But again, the challenge is to find your best fit. Now, this took me years of trial and error and struggle and frustration to learn, but finally did it. A little FYI about myself. I started as a school food service director. Now, at that time, I was 22 years old and my youngest cook was 44 years old. Anybody have any idea on some of those issues? Well, that's another video. But needless to say, it didn't start out too well. In fact, my first meeting went so bad, there were $10 bets I wouldn't make it to the first day of school. But I survived, and when I left school food service 13 years later, we had won the #1 award in the state. And I moved to a new startup franchise called Market Day. And when I started there, I had one employee, me. And when I left, we had 132 employees. Wonderful job, but burned out. And from there, I went to U.S. Food Service, where I was their long-term care specialist. And by long-term care, it was basically working with nursing homes. But did you know that prisons were also included as part of long-term care? I didn't then, but I sure do now. But when I started, the main focus of the job was to sell the long-term care, and then once the account was sold, to help them with cost control. And when I started, we had under $1 million in sales, and when I left, I think it was 6 years later, we had 18 million. So I was pretty proud of that. But from there, my kids were grown, and I finally got a chance to do what I love to do, which is training. And I went to Fred Pryor Career Track, where I was a national trainer for 2 years, basically on management and customer service. And from there, I started my own business, Kim H Consulting, which is what I'm doing now. And I love it. It gives me the opportunity to do things like I'm a trainer for the Institute of Child Nutrition. I went to a typical Catholic school and learned, through the nuns and their methods, that there was basically one way to manage my time, their way. Unfortunately, their way was a struggle for me, to put it mildly. It was the typical square peg, round hole issue. What about you? Is your current time management system working for you? Well, when I got in the real world of work, I again tackled time management. Because at that time, I was working full-time as a school food service director, serving over 5,000 students a day, and I had 2 little girls that I wanted to spend some time with. There was definitely not enough hours in the day. What about you? So I tried another time management seminar, and with the best of intentions, went out and purchased the recommended time management tools like the Franklin Planner. I listened to the time management tapes in my car, and I started my list. I cleared the piles off my desk and firmly organized myself and promised that this time would be different. I would follow this new program to a T, and I would become extremely organized. Anyone want to guess how long that one worked for me? Well, the best way I can describe it was, for me, the process was similar to most people starting on a new diet. I was very gung-ho at first, but I slowly reverted back to my original methods and systems. But now I had the additional guilt of being a failure at time management. It was a pretty predictable cycle. I was doing a pretty good job beating myself up and considering I was a failure when it came to time management. In usually less than a month, I had files piled on my office desk and dozens of projects going on at one time, not to mention my colored Post-it notes all over the place. Time management was not working for me, at least traditional time management. I needed a system that didn't require me to totally reinvent myself. And lucky for me, around that time, I learned about Myers-Briggs, DISC, and other behavioral styles. Understanding that each style had a different way of doing things, and including in this was how they best manage time. Well, wow. It was like playing Monopoly and getting to use my get out of jail free card. I realized I wasn't lazy, undisciplined, and unmotivated, and all those other labels I was applying to myself. I was just getting done what I needed to get done, just in more non-traditional ways. When I looked at my piles, I realized there was a system to those piles. By my phone was the pile of calls I was either waiting for someone to return my call or I needed to call. In the center of my desk was the project I was working on right that second. To the top left was other projects I was working on. And to the top right of my desk were projects that I needed to think about, like getting the budget done, the update on the school board meeting, but didn't need done right that second. Through trial and error, I figured out that I was a very visual person. And I was the type that would remember something because it was in the file folder with the coffee stain. I then started organizing with colored file folders. So in my case, green I used for money or budget, anything in that category. Blue I used for personnel, etc. And it started to get easier and easier for me to get better organized. Now, I can hear those of you that are out there that are left brain logical. I can almost feel you rolling your eyes and thinking that this sounds ridiculous. And it probably does to you because your system is working. But for me, my system wasn't working and I needed to discover a system that works. And that's what this tip is all about, finding a system that works for you. Also, I found that I had some issues with filing. Anybody else have that? Now, I know that sounds ridiculous. And yes, I can file and I do understand my alphabet. That wasn't really my issue. What my issue was that once I put something in the file cabinet, it was like a black hole. It just kind of disappeared. And trust me, I tried so hard at the end of the day to clean off my desk and file everything away. And I'd start the next day, totally clean desk, and I'd start working on something different. You know, interruptions in life got in its way. And I found for me, the filing cabinet was an out of sight, out of mind. It just wasn't working for me. Kind of like, I'm dating myself here, but anybody remember Jennifer Beals from Flashdance? I wanted her hair. I wanted her hair so bad. But unfortunately, that wasn't my hair. But that didn't stop me from doing perms and body waves and teasing my hair, just trying to look like her. It took me a long time to realize that I needed to work with my hair just like I needed to work with my time management system to make it work for me. And again, that's what this tip is all about, what works best for you. What about you? Does your time management system work for you? Here's your assignment. Assess your time management system and see if it is working for you. And second, study your time management patterns and practices to see which are supporting you and which needs tweaked. In my upcoming presentation, stay tuned for the 4 productivity styles, the planners, the prioritizers, the arrangers, and the visualizers. We're going to talk about brain dumping and to-do list and goal settings, truths about time, and much, much more. And if you want to view any of my articles and training, visit my website at www.kimhconsulting.com. Thanks for your time and hope to see you soon.